There's a reason people stop listening to you, a reason they don't take your words seriously, a reason you feel invisible in rooms where you should be commanding attention. And no, it's not because you're not smart enough, loud enough, or successful enough. It's because somewhere along the way, you started allowing toxic habits to eat away at the one thing that makes people stand still when you speak: respect. You want to be respected. Then you've got to understand something brutally honest. Respect isn't given, it's earned. Every single day, in the small choices you make, in the habits you tolerate, in the standards you hold or drop. And most of the time, it's not your enemies taking your power, it's you. Slowly, silently, through patterns that feel comfortable, but are quietly wrecking your credibility. And the dangerous part? You don't even realize you're doing it. You think you're being nice, humble, easygoing, but what you're really doing is training the world to see you as soft, unsure, inconsistent, someone who doesn't even stand behind their own words. And the world does not respect people who don't respect themselves. So I want you to sit with this. If people treat you like you don't matter, if you constantly feel overlooked, if you've been stuck in cycles of being ignored, dismissed, or underestimated, this is not bad luck, it's a mirror. And what you do next will define whether you continue to be disrespected or you rise up and change the game. You don't need more approval, you need more awareness, you don't need to speak louder. You need to move smarter, because respect isn't about being liked, it's about being unshakable. And the first step is to eliminate the silent habits that are quietly sabotaging your presence, your influence, and your power. Let's expose them one by one, and let's get your respect back. You may not realize how often you do it, but it's there, quietly woven into the way you move, speak, and even think. It's in the way you ask someone, "What do you think?" before making a decision you already know is right. It's in the way you second-guess your instincts the moment someone else raises an eyebrow. It's in the way you scroll social media hoping for likes, hoping for approval, hoping that anyone will clap for you so you can finally feel good about yourself. This need for validation is subtle, but it's powerful, and over time it chips away at something critical: your self-respect. When you constantly seek permission or approval from others, you're handing them the remote control to your confidence. You're telling them, "You get to decide if I matter." Think about that. You're giving people, some of whom don't even truly know you, the power to shape how you see yourself. That's dangerous. That's self-sabotage. Respect doesn't come from being agreeable. It comes from being anchored. If every time you're challenged, you waver, people won't admire your flexibility. They'll question your backbone. When you need everyone to be okay with your decisions before you make them, you're showing that you're not the authority of your own life. And if you're not the authority, someone else will be. People sense it when you move from insecurity. They may not say it out loud, but they feel it, that neediness, that hesitation, that nervous energy. It leaks. And when people feel that you don't trust yourself, they instinctively don't trust you either. They might smile at you. They might even like you, but they won't respect you. Why? Because respect comes from certainty. From knowing who you are, even when it's inconvenient. From trusting your voice, especially when it goes against the crowd. From choosing to believe in yourself before the results come in. Now let's be real. We all want to be seen. We all want to be appreciated. That's human. But the line between being seen and being dependent on being seen is where the trap lies. The moment you start needing applause to keep moving forward, you become easy to control. Anyone can manipulate you with silence. Anyone can break you with rejection. You want to be respected, then you have to be okay with people not clapping, not agreeing, not liking you. You have to be willing to move without a cheer squad, to choose what's right over what's popular, to back your values over their opinions. That's not arrogance, that's leadership. That's emotional maturity. That's strength. Here's the truth. The most respected people in the world are rarely the most liked. Why? Because they don't bend to please. They don't shape-shift to be accepted. They speak the truth. They stand firm. They disappoint some people, but they stay aligned with themselves. And that's what people ultimately respect. If you find yourself constantly checking in with others before making a move, Ask yourself this: what am I afraid of? Rejection, judgment, being wrong. Good. That's where the growth is. That's where the real you is waiting to emerge. Behind the fear, behind the insecurity. You don't need more confidence, you need more conviction. And conviction is built by doing the hard thing, trusting yourself even when others don't. Every time you validate your own choices, you build your internal strength. Every time you speak up when it's easier to stay silent, you reinforce your backbone. Every time you act in alignment with your principles, even if no one notices, you become more solid. And that solidity, that's what earns respect. Validation is addictive because it feels good in the short term, but it makes you weak in the long term. It creates a false sense of identity, one that's constantly shifting depending on who you're around. You lose your edge, you lose your truth, and eventually you lose yourself. So cut the need for validation. Make peace with being misunderstood. Start trusting your gut again. Start backing your voice, your vision, your values. You don't need to ask for permission to live boldly. You don't need to wait for a pat on the back to know you're doing something right. The world will catch up or it won't. Either way, you keep moving. Respect begins the moment you stop begging for it and start embodying it. Avoiding difficult conversations is one of the fastest ways to lose respect from others, and more importantly, from yourself. You might think you're keeping the peace, sparing feelings or avoiding unnecessary drama, but what you're really doing is choosing temporary comfort over long-term clarity, and clarity is the foundation of respect. When you avoid confrontation, you're not being the bigger person. You're not being noble or emotionally intelligent. You're simply dodging the discomfort that comes with truth. And here's what no one tells you. Every time you choose silence when your voice is needed, you teach people they can disrespect you and get away with it. You're at work and someone speaks over you. You feel it, the sting of dismissal. But instead of addressing it, you smile, you shrink, you stay quiet. At home, someone crosses a boundary. Maybe it's a partner, a parent, a friend. It doesn't sit right. You're hurt. But you say it's fine. You change the subject. You let it slide over and over. And every time you do that, you lose a piece of yourself. You trade your dignity for comfort. You exchange your voice for approval. And slowly you start to wonder why no one listens, why you feel invisible, why you're constantly frustrated, but unable to express why. Let's get one thing straight. Difficult conversations are not just necessary. They are non-negotiable if you want to be respected. Because people respect boundaries. People respect truth. People respect individuals who are willing to face the fire and still stand tall. Now, does it feel good? No, it's uncomfortable. Your heart races, your palms sweat. You replay what you want to say in your head 100 times. You fear how they'll react. Will they get angry? Will they walk away? Will they think you're too much? But ask yourself this: what's the cost of not speaking up? Resentment builds. Misunderstandings deepen. Relationships rot in silence. Work dynamics become toxic. And all because you didn't want to be the bad guy. But here's the truth: silence doesn't protect relationships. It poisons them. And people can feel it. They can feel when you're not being real, when you're nodding, but your energy says otherwise, when you're smiling, but you're seething inside. That kind of dishonesty doesn't make you kind. It makes you unreliable. It makes you hard to trust. And if people can't trust you to be honest, even when it's hard, they won't respect you. You want to be respected, then you need to be willing to say what others are too afraid to. That doesn't mean being cruel. It doesn't mean attacking or humiliating someone. It means being direct, grounded, and firm. It means saying, this is what I need, or that didn't sit right with me, or here's the standard I expect. You don't have to scream. You don't have to argue. You don't even have to win. You just have to be clear, because clarity earns respect, even from people who don't agree with you. Avoiding tough conversations is rooted in fear. Fear of being rejected, fear of losing control, fear of how someone else will feel. But that fear is not your compass. If you let it guide your decisions, you'll live a life where everyone else's comfort matters more than your own peace. And that is a prison. You have to stop pretending that silence is strength. It's not. Strength is knowing when to speak. Strength is having the courage to say, I'm not okay with this. Strength is drawing a line and holding it. Even if your voice shakes, some people won't like it. That's the price. You will lose relationships. You will lose comfort. But what you'll gain, self-respect. And that's something no one can give you and no one can take away. Look at the most respected people around you. Leaders, mentors, coaches. They don't dodge the truth. They face it. They call things out. They risk being uncomfortable because they value integrity over convenience. If you want to be that kind of person, you need to start practicing uncomfortable conversations. Yes, practicing, because like any skill, it takes effort. You'll stumble, you'll get emotional, but each time you do it, you'll get stronger, more composed, more powerful. And that power isn't about dominance. It's about authenticity. It's about standing in your truth without needing to crush someone else's. It's about being able to look in the mirror and know you didn't run from what needed to be said. So the next time you feel that tension, that urge to hold your tongue, to sweep it under the rug, to let it go, when it's clearly not okay, stop, breathe, choose courage, speak the truth. Not because it's easy, but because your voice matters, your peace matters, and your respect depends on it. Gossip seems harmless at first. It even feels good in the moment, like a quick hit of connection with someone who leans in and whispers, "Did you hear about?" But what feels like bonding is actually a trap. It's a cheap, temporary thrill that chips away at something priceless, your integrity. And once integrity goes, respect follows right behind it. When you gossip, you might think you're in control. You're the one with the inside scoop, the story, the secret. But here's what's really happening. You're training people not to trust you. They may laugh with you now, they may nod along, but somewhere in their mind, they're wondering, what do they say about me when I'm not around? And the truth is, they're probably right to wonder. Because if you talk about one person behind their back, you'll do it to another. And no one respects someone who can't be trusted. Respect is built on consistency, on knowing that someone's words align with their character, whether people are watching or not. Gossip does the opposite. It tells people you lack discipline with your mouth. It shows that you prioritize attention over loyalty, entertainment over honor, and that you'll trade someone's dignity for a quick moment of relevance. That's not strength. That's weakness masquerading as confidence. And it's not just about what you say. Gossip changes the energy around you. The more you engage in talking about others, the more negative your environment becomes. Conversations turn petty, relationships turn shallow, trust evaporates. Before long, you're surrounded by people who thrive on tearing others down because they see you as one of them. That's not the company you want to keep, and it's not the person you want to become. Now, why do we do it? Because gossip gives us an easy sense of belonging. It creates a false bond. Talking about someone else makes us feel a little more superior, even if we don't say it out loud. It gives us a sense of control over someone else's story. But here's the irony. The more you rely on gossip to connect, the weaker your own identity becomes. Instead of standing out for your character, you're blending in with the noise. If you want respect, you have to be the person who doesn't bite when gossip comes your way. You have to be the one who chooses to rise above it, even when everyone else is indulging in it. And yes, it's uncomfortable, saying, "I'd rather not talk about them," or redirecting the conversation feels awkward at first. People may even look at you like you're being too serious. But over time, they'll realize something important. You're someone who can be trusted, someone who doesn't trade integrity for cheap approval. And trust me, people notice. They notice who stays silent when gossip starts. They notice who defends someone who isn't there to defend themselves. They notice who has enough strength to shut down the negativity, even if it means being unpopular in the moment. Those are the people who get real respect, the kind that lasts. There's another layer to gossip that most people don't realize. It says more about you than the person you're talking about. When you spread rumors or share private details, what you're really showing is insecurity. You're showing that you need to elevate yourself by lowering someone else, and that is a surefire way to lose credibility. Strong people don't need gossip to feel powerful. They don't need to tear others down to feel taller. They know that true strength is quiet. True strength is in protecting someone's dignity, even when they're not in the room. True strength is in knowing something you could use against someone, but choosing not to. And this isn't just about morality, it's about strategy. Think about the leaders you respect most. Do they waste time on petty talk, or do they focus on building, leading, creating, solving? People who make a real impact don't have time for gossip because they're too busy doing the work that matters. They're too focused on growth to get pulled into the distraction of tearing others apart. You want to be respected? Be that kind of person. The one people trust with their name, their reputation, their confidence. Be the one who listens but doesn't spread, who hears but doesn't judge, who knows but doesn't weaponize knowledge for attention. Does that mean you never talk about people? Of course not. We discuss people we admire, people we want to learn from, even people who challenge us. But there's a difference between analyzing and attacking. One is constructive. The other is destructive. Know which one you're doing. If you've been caught in gossip before, it's not too late to change. Start by becoming conscious. Notice when the conversation starts heading in that direction. Ask yourself, what do I gain by saying this? What does it cost me? Because gossip always costs you something. It costs you respect. It costs you trust. And once those are gone, it's hard to get them back. The next time you're tempted to speak about someone who isn't present, pause. Remember that your words carry weight and your reputation rides on how you use them. Respect isn't about being perfect. It's about making choices that align with the kind of person you want to be known as. So choose to be the person who doesn't need gossip to feel significant. Choose to be the one who walks away from petty conversations and toward meaningful ones. Choose to protect your integrity, because once you lose it, no amount of talking can get it back. And when you consistently show that kind of strength, you won't just be liked, you'll be respected in a way gossip could never give you. When you say you're going to do something and then you don't, something subtle but powerful happens. A fracture begins, not just in your relationships, but in your own sense of self. You think it's just a missed commitment or a forgotten promise. You think people will understand because life gets busy. But what you're really doing is teaching the world and yourself that your word doesn't mean much. Your word is your contract. It's your reputation, your identity, your credibility. And when you break it, even in small ways, you chip away at the trust people have in you. Trust isn't just about being honest. It's about being reliable. It's about showing up when you say you will. It's about following through, especially when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or not exciting anymore. Because here's the truth. Anyone can make a promise when they feel motivated. Anyone can commit when things are easy. But very few follow through when no one's watching, when things get hard, or when they no longer feel like it. That's where respect is built, in the consistency between your words and your actions. When you cancel plans at the last minute, when you say, I'll get it done, but weeks go by with no follow-up, when you tell someone you'll support them and then disappear, it may seem small, but those moments send a loud message: you can't count on me. And that message sticks. People might not say anything, but they'll remember. They'll hesitate next time. They'll stop coming to you. They'll stop believing you. That's how respect is lost, not in one big moment, but through a series of small, quiet letdowns. But it's not just about how others see you, it's about how you see yourself. Every time you don't honor your own word, you reinforce a belief that you're not someone who finishes things, that you don't follow through, that you can't trust yourself. And that belief slowly kills your confidence. Because deep down, how can you build anything solid, a dream, a business, a reputation, on the foundation of inconsistency? Let's be real. Life happens. Sometimes things change. Priorities shift. Emergencies come up. That's not the problem. The problem is when breaking your word becomes a habit, when your promises become loose, negotiable, and easily tossed aside, when you say yes just to please people knowing full well you won't commit. That's not kindness, that's self-sabotage. And it turns into a pattern of disrespect toward others and toward yourself. Respect comes from alignment. When your actions align with your words, you build a reputation of strength, discipline, and reliability. People take you seriously because they know you take yourself seriously. You become someone whose yes means yes, and whose no means no. You're not vague, you're not flaky, you're not all talk, you're grounded, dependable, and trustworthy. And in a world full of empty words and broken promises, that kind of character stands out. Think about the people you respect the most. They're not necessarily the loudest, the most charismatic, or the most talented. They're the ones who show up. They're the ones who say what they mean and do what they say. You don't have to second guess them. You don't have to chase them. Their word is enough. That's the kind of person you want to be. That's the kind of person the world needs more of. And if you've struggled with keeping your word, start small. Don't make 20 promises, make one. One commitment that you follow through on no matter what. Show yourself that you can be trusted. Build from there. Over time, that muscle gets stronger. Your confidence grows. People start noticing. They start treating you differently, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. It's not glamorous, it's not flashy, but being the person who keeps their word is one of the most powerful things you can do to build lasting respect. Because at the end of the day, people remember actions, not intentions. They remember how you made them feel and whether or not you came through. So be the person who follows through, especially when it's hard. Be the person who finishes what they start. Be the person whose word means something. Because in a world that's quick to promise but slow to deliver, that kind of integrity will make you unforgettable. And remember, if you don't take your own word seriously, why should anyone else? It's easy to slip into the role of the victim. Life throws punches, disappointments, betrayals, setbacks, unfair circumstances, and before you even realize it, you're sitting in the corner thinking, why does this always happen to me? That mindset, that quiet internal voice that convinces you you're powerless, is one of the most toxic habits you can carry. Because once you accept the role of the victim, you've surrendered your ability to change anything. And the moment you surrender that power, you start losing respect from others and from yourself. See, people may feel sorry for victims, but they don't respect them. Respect is earned by those who rise in the face of adversity, not those who stay stuck in it. And yes, life gets hard. Yes, people will hurt you, disappoint you, leave you, and let you down, but none of that gives you permission to stop taking responsibility for how you show up. Playing the victim means deflecting accountability. It means pointing the finger outward instead of inward. It means blaming your boss, your past, your parents, your partner, the system, anything but yourself. And the more you do that, the more powerless you become. Because if everything is someone else's fault, then nothing is within your control. And if nothing is within your control, you'll never rise. You'll stay exactly where you are, angry, bitter, stagnant, and resentful of people who decided to fight instead of fold. You know what's more powerful than being right? Being responsible. Even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. When you stop saying, this happened to me, and start asking, what am I going to do with this? That's the moment your entire life begins to shift. Because strength doesn't come from ease. It comes from resistance. And respect doesn't come from how much you've suffered. It comes from how much you've owned. The most respected people you know didn't avoid pain. They transformed it. They didn't sit around waiting for someone to make it right. They became the person who made it right. The victim mindset also poisons your relationships. It drains the people around you. No one wants to be in constant damage control. No one wants to feel like they have to tiptoe around your emotions, always validating you, always reassuring you, always compensating for your lack of growth. People respect strength. They admire accountability. And when you carry yourself like someone who refuses to be defeated, even when life is unfair, that energy becomes magnetic. But here's the trap. Playing the victim often masquerades as being real. You tell yourself, I'm just expressing my feelings. But expression is not the same as identity. It's okay to feel hurt. It's okay to process pain. But it is not okay to stay there. Your feelings are valid, but they're not a permission slip to avoid responsibility. You don't get to blame others forever. At some point, the story has to change, and that change starts with you. And let's talk about the quiet, passive-aggressive form of victimhood. The kind where you constantly expect others to guess your needs, where you feel wronged because people aren't reading your mind, where you believe life owes you something because you've been through a lot. That kind of behavior slowly pushes people away. It breeds entitlement instead of empowerment. And it leaves you isolated, confused about why no one's showing up for you, when the truth is you've been showing up for yourself as someone who's helpless, not capable. You want to change the narrative, change how you speak. Stop saying, I can't believe this is happening to me, and start saying, I'm not going to let this break me. Stop saying, no one helps me, and start saying, I'll figure it out. Your words are not just communication, they are declaration. They shape your energy. They tell the world whether you are to be pitied or respected. If you've caught yourself playing the victim, it doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. But what you do next determines who you become. You can stay in the story or you can rewrite it. You can wait for a rescue or you can become the hero. But you can't do both. You can't crave power and cling to helplessness at the same time. The world doesn't need more people blaming and complaining. The world needs people who rise. People who take the hit and keep standing. People who say, I didn't deserve what happened, but I do deserve what's next. That's power. That's respect. That's leadership. So stop giving away your strength for sympathy. Stop feeding the narrative that you're stuck, broken, or always unlucky. You're more than what's happened to you. You're what you choose to become, despite it. And when you finally let go of the victim mindset, you unlock something rare and unstoppable: resilience, ownership, power, and that is where respect begins. If you want respect, stop waiting for someone to hand it to you. Respect doesn't come through sympathy. It doesn't come through victimhood, noise, or pretending to be someone you're not. It comes through your choices, daily, consistently, when no one is watching. Every toxic habit you keep, whether it's seeking validation, avoiding hard conversations, gossiping, breaking your word, or playing the victim, chips away at your power. And the harsh truth, you're either building your reputation or you're breaking it with every word, every action, every decision you make. But here's the good news. The moment you decide to change, you take back control. You take back your voice. You take back your presence. And most importantly, you take back your respect. People follow strength. They admire self-discipline. They watch how you carry yourself when things get uncomfortable. So show them what integrity looks like. Show them what it means to be unshakable. Don't ask for permission. Don't wait for validation. Don't live for approval. Become the kind of person who commands respect, not by demanding it, but by embodying it. Because once you stop tolerating your own toxic habits, everything in your life starts to change. So ask yourself one final question. If I saw me, would I respect me? If the answer is no, fix it. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now.